for finding my channel again. Today we're going to talk about Thanksgiving and toxic relationships. Today on Musings with Dr. Michelle, but not that kind of doctor. Thanksgiving is a wonderful time of the year, and we're right in the middle of Thanksgiving season in November. And there's two things that happen in November and Thanksgiving. The first, obviously, is that we set our table for a wondrous meal, right? So we're going to have turkey or ham or duck, my favorite, or we're going to have roast beef. And all the fixings. Mashed potatoes are always the one in my family that everybody insists on having. But you need the gravy and the cranberry sauce and the salad and the veggies and the green bean casserole and the pumpkin pie and the rolls and all that fun stuff. So today, while we're talking about Thanksgiving, we're also going to do something kind of interesting. I'm going to talk about place setting. I'm going to talk a little bit about meal etiquette and for a really fancy dinner, the whole pieces. So I have about 8 pieces of china and the glassware and all of the silverware. And I have 7 pieces of silverware that we're going to speak about, all because of Thanksgiving. What's something else that happens at Thanksgiving? And that's what I want to tell you what I think about today. One of the concepts that I think we have a lot of times around family is that we want things to be always perfect, right? So I know as a mom and a mom that has had elaborate Thanksgivings with friends and family, I always want everything to be absolutely perfect, right? You want all the food to come out at the same time. You want all the people to eat the food that you make, and you want everybody to laud your praises and tell you you're the absolutely greatest chef in the world. Of course, every mom wants that every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every Easter, and every day, to be perfectly honest. But unfortunately, sometimes that's not always what happens. And that's what we're going to focus on today is the difference between our kind of our fantasy and what actually happens, the actual reality of family get-togethers and whatnot. So I'm going to start out today talking about the foundation, and the foundation to any really, really good Thanksgiving dinner is the tablecloth, right? No, it's the family. It's the friends that you bring together to eat around the table with the tablecloth. But I wanted to mention this tablecloth. This has probably been around for a long, long time, and it's really pretty. It has all these really cool fringes and some of this applique. And I have no clue how old it is. I know we've never used it. I know it's been around for a number of years. We've never used it for the main reason of if I use it, it's going to get dirty. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense because it's a tablecloth and it's supposed to get dirty, but I just don't use it. And I think that's kind of the same thing with relationships sometimes. We have these relationships that we feel have to be absolutely perfect. We can't tell them our problems. We can't let them know, kind of what's deep going down inside of us and all that fun stuff. So we kind of we put our own needs and our own feelings away in the closet or in this case, the drawer, and we never bring them out, we never use them, we never talk about them, and that's kind of the sad part about sometimes having those really strong friendships that only go one way, which is sad. But anyway, so Thanksgiving. Let's talk a little bit about the next step in on our Thanksgiving table, and of course, that's our plate. And this is another thing that's been in my family for quite a while. It probably, I mean, I'm sure has absolutely no value whatsoever, but it was my mom's, and my mom really, really loved them and got these in like the 1950s or something like that. I moved from one state to another state, and I lost a few pieces in it, and I know I'm never going to be able to replace it unless I happen to come across this pattern at a garage sale someday because somebody else is trying to get rid of their stuff. But this plate also symbolizes kind of the centerpiece of Thanksgiving, and I truly think that's kind of like the parents, the mom or the dad or the parents together. Um, I know that when I was growing up, my mom always, tried to really put on a really great Thanksgiving, and I was very fortunate when in my household that I didn't grow up in a violent household. Did my parents argue and scream at each other? Sure, yeah, they did. And looking back, I realized it's probably more happened that I never really kind of paid attention to. And I do know that my parents, they never divorced. They're both dead. They're both gone now. They never divorced. But I do know that they weren't maybe the happiest people in the entire marriage that they had. And so, and I always tell you that just because I don't know. I'm telling you that because when we think, we've had this idyllic childhood and we're trying to replicate that idyllic childhood as an adult, it's not always the way it really truly was. We color kind of our memories. We go back and we think, oh, wow, I had the greatest childhood. I always had the perfect Christmas. Thanksgiving feast was always the best. And when you and as an adult, you're trying to replicate that for your own kids, right? And it doesn't always happen. Or your kids maybe aren't appreciative, which happened to me a number of years. The kids aren't quite appreciative of the green bean casserole or whatever. They're like, we don't want this. This is gross. There was a few things my mom made that I refused to make and pass down the traditions. She grew up in the southwestern, southern part of the country, and one thing that she would make that I to this day think is completely disgusting, and I hear about it every now and then is roast turkey gravy with chopped eggs. Yes, chopped eggs. I refuse to ever eat it because I'm not an egg person, but I also refuse to ever bring that monstrosity forward a generation. But I did bring the green bean casserole forward, and my kids hate it. They'll pick the little onion pieces off the top and refuse to eat the rest. They were never really the perfect turkey. They never were like, oh, we love turkey, we must have turkey. Um, no, those mashed potatoes, like I said, is what they wanted. So when I have a Thanksgiving dinner and I spend, days, because you they bake the pies one day, you do the cranberry sauce the day before, you have to defrost the turkey on Sunday, you have to, um, do the other pie on Monday, you have to do all this stuff, and then the day of, you're literally in the kitchen from about 4 or 5 in the morning cooking, boiling the potatoes and getting the sweet potatoes, ready to be mashed or to be roasted or whatever you do with those. And you have to have all of the different veggies, and then you have to have the table setting completely set. So again, like I said, this is the foundation of the Thanksgiving or the tablecloth's the foundation. This is the foundation of the actual meal, right? So the plate is, and I'm at the end of this video, I'm going to take a snapshot and add it so you kind of see, because I know you can't see all this fun stuff down here. But so this is the main plate, and this obviously is going to go in the center. And like I said, this really represents kind of the core, the mom making the dinner, or the dad, or the both together, which whatever happens in the family. And one thing that my mom always liked to do was some sort of salad. When I shake my head again, sometimes the salads that she would do were not necessarily the salads that anybody ate. Her favorite was the Jello salad and with shredded cabbage and shredded carrots. Well, I guess it sat on shredded cabbage. There was shredded carrots in there. It was always like it was either an orange or a burgundy, like a raspberry or cranberry Jello, with nuts inside, that sort of thing. Sometimes with cottage cheese, but we always had a salad plate. And so the salad plate today really kind of represents some of those foods that not everybody's going to eat. And this is going to go um, to the um, to the 10 o'clock part if you're looking at a clock, kind of like the 10 o'clock part. So this is going to go upper left corner of the plate. And so then my mom would also sometimes make soup. And this is kind of those optional things. Not everybody makes ever really truly made soup. But my mom sometimes would make soup. And so this is a really shallow soup bowl. Can't get a whole lot in here, which is perfect for Thanksgiving because you have so much other food. And this is going to go straight in when you're setting the table right into the middle of the dinner plate. Okay? So let's talk about when you get older and maybe you're far away from home, far away from mom, dad, family, or you're across town, whatever, and you just truly don't want to go. You know that somebody's going to get drunk, there's going to be an argument, there's going to be something that happens, and you just don't want to go. And I'm here to tell you it's up to you. It's obviously up to you. You have to, there's always repercussions for your actions. But if you don't want to go, don't go. And I know that sounds really harsh. And I think my napkin kind of represents that kind of harshness. That napkins, are there to wipe up any spills. But I also have a little pretty little Thanksgiving fall bow on it. And the reason I love napkin rings so much is that I don't have to do anything to the napkin pretty much. All I have to do is roll it as tight as I can and put it in there's no ironing, there's no, steaming or anything like that of the iron or the napkins. I roll it up as tight as I can, put it in a cute little fall festive bow or napkin ring. And I think I bought this one. I know. You could easily make this go to Michael's and easily make things like this. You don't have to buy one that's, $9 or something like that. You can go to Michael's and get the 79-cent pick and make your own. But this is going to go right in, again, in the middle, right on top to what I'm going to do since it's in a napkin ring. It's going to go right on top of the soup bowl, which is sitting on top of the plate. So the reason I wanted to bring out the napkin next is just because again, it's a symbol of you can wipe up, any spills. You can brush away, toxic relationships. And unfortunately, that's kind of the key word of the day is toxic. Because I mean, I understand if you're like home in bed and you're comfy, you don't really want to get up, you call mom or a friend or whatever, say, "Oh, I'm too lazy. I'm not going to come over." I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's appropriate. What I'm saying is if you're in a toxic relationship, if you're forced to be around people that have abused you in the past, have not been nice to you, are abusive maybe to alcohol or to drugs or to anything, any substance, and you don't want to be around that for you or even your kids or something like that, it's okay. That's what I'm saying. It's okay to say no to that. So, so let's talk a little bit about alcohol since we're talking about alcohol. And I'm pro alcohol. I have my wine glasses right here. Red wine or white wine, white wine goes really, really well with the turkey. Red wine goes really well with ham or some of the other sides. Or you could also do red wine with dessert, goes really well with my mom's old Jello salad that nobody ever ate. So the wine glasses are going to go up here to the upper right of the dish. And obviously, if you aren't going to do both, then you wouldn't put both on the plate, but you also should have a glass for water, water and all that fun stuff. And that would also go. So the idea kind of when you're setting your drinks is that the right hand is going to grab it. So you're going to go right hand down. So, that sort of thing. So all of your glassware would kind of be up there. If you're in a really fancy restaurant, they're going to bring you the wine glass, and if you don't drink the wine, they take the wine glass away, or they bring you a fresh wine glass, for each, each course or whatever. I don't do a whole lot of, can't afford a whole lot of really, really fancy dinners, but I have been to several, and it's amazing. It's really, truly amazing, and I have, like I said, I only have what eight, seven, 8 pieces for cutlery. This can go up. I have another set that someday I'll drag out and actually show that has not been used, I'm sure, since 1975 or something like that. But I still have it. It's old. It's from Siam. Yes, Siam is previous to Thailand. So that kind of tells you, it's fairly old. But again, it's nothing that's probably worth anything that I'm sure if I took to a pawn shop, they would laugh at me. I'm sure if I put in a garage sale, which I think it's been in a garage sale, nobody's going to pay, more than 20 bucks for the whole set. And it's a huge set. There has to be over 100 pieces to it. But this is a much smaller set that, again, is my mom's. That's my mom's. It's Oneida. It's not worth anything. But it's their continental set, I think it was, and it's from like the 50s or so. It's something that she wanted when she got married. And again, while it's it's not worth anything. And people in my life go, why are you keeping that? You use it like maybe once or twice a year. It means a lot to me. And someday maybe my kids will want it. That's iffy. That's really, truly, completely, totally iffy. But that's okay. And I have come to kind of realize that it's okay that they don't want something that, means something to me. And that means absolute nothing to them. They've seen, like I said, they've seen, the set, like once, twice a year, and I don't put it in the dishwasher. Don't, don't put it in your room. I need to wash it by hand. I need to put it away, all this fun stuff. So it's more of a burden to them probably than, something that means something to them. And that's again kind of that center piece of Thanksgiving is that a lot of fights happen because of expectations not being met. So mom, dad, parent, whoever host of the Thanksgiving dinner really has put all this time, effort, and ideas into having it. And other people don't appreciate it. And sometimes people get upset because, again, we have an expectation that something is going to be perfect, that something is going to mean a lot to somebody else, and it only means something to us. It doesn't mean anything to them. And they act accordingly. It's like, oh, this is nice, whatever, bring on the pie. They don't really understand all the effort and stuff that had gone into that dinner. But that's okay. So that's kind of what my cutlery represents is that it's okay when this finally passes on to my kids and they sell it in a pawn shop for 20 bucks. One, I'm not going to be around to know it, and it's their guilt that they're going to have to live with. But it's okay, it's okay. It's going to hopefully go to somebody else that can at least use it. And so now when I'm going to talk about all the different pieces of this cutlery, I'm telling you all this because one, there's a true etiquette in meals that we're losing quickly in this country or even around the world. If you're not like at a certain class maybe, or you don't use these every day or something like that, we're losing some of this etiquette that is a shame, and that's probably a whole podcast of itself just to talk about etiquette. But I just want to kind of give a couple of tips, and so hopefully people will think about that this Christmas and this Thanksgiving season. So the fork obviously is the main dish fork, and it's going to be one of the last ones that we use. So it's going to be the closest to the plate, and it's going to be on the left side of the plate. So the fork goes closest to the plate on the left side of the plate. The small fork, as you can see, has it's smaller, obviously, maybe not tines wise, but by height for sure. This is usually a salad fork, and sometimes it can be used though as a dessert fork. But today this is going to be a salad fork, and this is going to go next to on the outside, away from the plate for the big fork. Okay, so let's go back again to kind of those toxic relationships that we have. There's kind of been a new thing coming around, and I actually really appreciate it. And I totally get it. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. You probably worked on Wednesday. And maybe you're lucky to have the week off, but I know I have to work on Wednesday. So you have Thanksgiving Thursday, and then you're going to go shopping on Friday. And then you have Saturday and Sunday. You need one of those days to recover from shopping and Thanksgiving, and you have to eat the leftover at some point. And the other day, maybe you're going to do more shopping, or maybe you're just going to hang out with friends. So one thing that kind of happened lately is that people do Friends Thanksgiving, right? Friendsgiving. And that's kind of cool. And I've invited, wayward people that I know that maybe can't get home and like, oh, no, no, we're going to do a Friends Thanksgiving. And that's kind of cool. That I know when my kids were off of college, they did Friends Thanksgiving. I know my daughter who's in Japan, she does Friends Thanksgiving. And that's really cool. And as a mom, it's like, but I want you home with me, because it's so special and Thanksgiving means so much to me. But sometimes, it just doesn't work out. And paying for the airfare or paying for the gas to get wherever they need to go. And for one day, basically, you have to leave it early, early in the morning and get home late, late at night. And you want to go shopping the next day. Or you have friends that need a place to be, whatever. There's lots of different things that could happen. Um, and it's okay that maybe your kids don't, when your adult kids don't come home. And it's hard. And like I said, as a mom, I've had to feel that. But it's awesome, but at the same time, it's actually okay. Okay, so now I have my knife. I already told you that's next to the right side of my plate. And now I start with the spoon. So Like I said, my mom always liked to do some sort of soup. Well, you need a soup spoon, and traditional soup spoons are really big. I'm not a huge soup spoon fan, if I can say it. I think it's too big. And I'm not a huge soup fan. But anyway, so this is like a soup spoon. This is going to go next to the knife. So you have the knife, and then you have next to that the soup spoon. Okay, now you can also have another spoon, like, and this would be much more for coffee, but also it could be for dessert. You know, it kind of depends on what the meal is, because a lot of this is meal dependent. So you can put this onto the right of the soup spoon. So you have knife, soup spoon, small spoon, or you can put it on top of the plate up here, and that's going to signal that that's for dessert. So you can also put your salad fork if you have a salad fork or two salad forks, a dessert fork, or you're not going to have a salad, but you know you're going to have pie for dessert, then you'd put the fork above the plate, right? So yeah, and it's going back to, like, let's talk about the family dinner also. If you're going to be hosting and Uncle Bob or whatever is going to come, and that they really really like their wine, and they're going to drink a couple bottles of it by themselves, and then they're going to be really really obnoxious, then start a fight or whatever, then maybe maybe that year you don't do wine, or you do one bottle of wine and five bottles of sparkling cider or whatever it might be. There's ways with the dinner preparation that you are reducing some of the hazards that might occur. And that's hard, and I know that. And people, Uncle Bob might bring his own bottle of wine or wine. So, I get that piece too, but for the most part, you really truly can kind of control some of the negative stuff that might occur at the dinner. And one way you can control sometimes is having coffee, tea, whatever it might be. So your coffee and your coffee plates. And you can tell this is a coffee plate because of the rim, because it kind of holds the coffee, not really, but if you spilled a tiny bit, it kind of holds it a little bit. But this would go again to the right, kind of up a little bit and a little bit out of the way, but to the right, and to the, I guess about 2 o'clock maybe. So I still have a couple other pieces of plates that I'm going to talk about, and these I kind of represent the outliers and the other things that might occur surprisingly. Um, so, like I said, I had a dessert plate. So on the dessert plate, especially if you're not, sometimes you serve a plate of dessert, but if you're going to pass around pie at the end of the night, it's perfectly acceptable to put your bread plate on top of your dessert plate, and that hangs out in the um, up to the left of the plate, up, like I said, about 10 o'clock. And it's perfectly acceptable to do this and put it down, or you could separate them. So you're going to have the dessert plate to the right, and you'll have the bread plate immediately above the main dish. And then you have your butter knife, and you would place your butter knife on the top of your bread dish, like just like that. So this would be right above the plate. Okay. So, I still have a couple of pieces outlying here, and sometimes it's kind of difficult in families to know about conversations. So one thing that has occurred in my family is maybe somebody disagrees with political, religion, lifestyle, sexual orientation, you know, anything. You might have people, especially with the political season coming up, you might have people that are at odds because one person is so and so, one person is so and so. And that's really shouldn't be the topic of Thanksgiving. It really shouldn't. So you might have these little outliers that you have no clue what to do with, and you're going to have to figure something out. So this little dish can be for a dessert. It can be um, for another course, like it could be for a mouche bouche. It could be for different courses or something like that. So you might not ever use this. But I'm going to go ahead and put this for this video on top of my dessert plate. thinking that maybe I'll whip up some cool little thing, a little cheese thing between courses or something. I'm joking. Um, but I do say that if a conversation, especially during the Thanksgiving day, starts to turn the way that's going to hurt another family member or guest, or it's going to cause trouble, or is going to get the beer flowing more, try everything in your power to kind of steer it away from that. Just don't bring up politics. Don't bring up sexual orientation. Don't bring up abortion. Don't bring up religion. Don't bring up all those things that people are going to fight about. Don't bring about up Aunt Edna's will. Just don't bring up that stuff, because I really tell you that it can cause a lot of problems, and you just don't need that at Thanksgiving. You don't need that at any time, but especially when people are coming to your house and you've spent all this time arranging this fantastic meal and the wonderful serving set. You just don't need it all being ruined for fights or just hard feelings and all that fun stuff that does occur when people start talking some of those taboos. Now, do I think that sexual orientation is a taboo? I'll talk about it. But at the dining room table, if you're going to have two different people with two completely different views, then maybe it just is not a topic that should come up. They need to talk about that and their differences in private. Um, I know I hear people say it. I truly people hear people say it. Well, if somebody says something negative about another person, I'm going to call them out on it. Okay. And I totally would get that in any other situation. I would say, yes, you go call them out on that. You tell them that that's not appropriate. And there are a few kind of nicer ways to tell people that it's not appropriate, but arguing at the dining room table, arguing on special days like Thanksgiving can lead to issues. And we don't want issues. We don't want issues. We don't want the police called. We don't want other things happening. Not that that would happen, but it does and it has. So I think I've pretty much thought about what my Thanksgiving um, placing would be. And like I said, later I'll take a picture. But I'm kind of curious about your Thanksgiving. Do you have special Thanksgiving traditions that you want to pass on to your kids? Do they care? Do they want those special traditions passed on? You know what? And if the answer is no, then maybe, write them down, maybe record them and pass them on that way. And then when the kids, maybe when they have children of their own or families of their own, or they're in a relationship of their own, then they can kind of pick and choose which traditions they like the most. I'm going to talk about genealogy in the future, and because that's fascinating to me. And my son actually kind of likes a little bit of genealogy. My two daughters could not care less. They do not care about genealogy. They just don't. It's just not something that affects them on a daily basis, and they just don't care. So, will they care that I'm part Swedish and that every now and then I try to go out and find a Swedish tradition to implement? They don't care. My son does, but my daughters don't. So, but at some point in time, I'm going to try to record and make sure I track some of that stuff. So anyway, so today was just kind of my musings of Dr. Michelle. I really hope that you're going to come back, and I hope that some of this was interesting to you. I hope that you kind of think about the toxic relations that you have at Thanksgiving. And the one thing I would love to leave you with, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a mom, I'm not your mom, I'm just a mom, I'm, you know, just a person that's lived a long, fruitful life that's had to deal with a lot of this stuff. I just encourage you to see about maybe cutting out some of those toxic relations the best that you can. And fully support you if you're able to do that. Live for yourself, take good care of yourself. Self-care is so incredibly important. So, all those moms out there that are spending a whole week cooking one meal that maybe not everybody is appreciative of, do something nice for yourself. Maybe take one thing off the dining room table this year, or ask somebody else to help you out. It's okay to do that. It's okay. Not everything has to be absolutely perfect. To me, the best pumpkin pies come from Costco anyway, not my homemade pumpkin pies. Now, my chocolate chip cookies are delicious, but not my pumpkin pies. So, next time, I hope that you will come back and let's talk and muse about another topic. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving if I don't see you or if you don't see me again. All right. Best.